Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a fresh episode of JD Talks NASCAR. I'm sure you all enjoyed the week off of not hearing my voice. I've been insanely busy between work and moving into my new place. If it sounds a little bit different, hopefully it's a good different. So if you notice the difference there, but this episode's mainly going to be focused on recapping Iowa. And, we missed the Sonoma recap due to me being so busy. I didn't want to just pop in for a 10-15 minute episode about Sonoma. I wanted to just touch on it and then get right into Iowa. Sonoma was a above average road course race. Kyle Larson won at Sonoma. So, all my Larson fans out there, I know I've got several that listen. I'm sure you all are happy. And then Iowa came around and, was a lot better race than I felt like, the drivers especially thought. With the repave at Iowa, you had a couple lanes repaved and then they didn't finish it all the way. So it was a little treacherous, but I thought the Xfinity and Cup race were both good at Iowa. I love that track. I love the setup of the track. Rusty Wallace designed it. It's kind of like a bigger Richmond, but it races so much better than Richmond, I think. I really enjoyed Cup at Iowa, and I hope they continue to go there. I think they will. Sold out crowd. It was absolutely packed, and it was a good race. So, a lot of news to talk about. Um, when you miss a week, a lot of news breaks. So, I'm going to talk about the news also, and just talk about things happening around NASCAR. Silly season is in full force now, as we come up on the off season. So, we'll start out on the Iowa recap. You had a Spire three-way collision. Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and LaJoy. Ends up Corey spinning. It didn't hurt his car too bad. Um, I didn't think. I mean, he barely scraped the wall. So that was wild to see all three Spire cars get into each other and resulting in ultimately Corey spinning. I'm sure that was an awkward team meeting on Monday. Wouldn't want to be a part of that. I think Hocevar is the one that kind of uh, looked like he dove in way too hard and kind of bumped into Zane, who then bumped up into Corey. So didn't like to see that if you're a Spire fan for sure. I got Denny off bad early. Man, it was wild. And you can ask anyone around me. This is not a lie just because Blaney won. I was on the Blaney and Byron train. I thought one of the two were going to win. They ended up finishing 1-2. Even finally got a win in fantasy. Can I hear a cheer? The fantasy curse is over finally, maybe. So we'll see. And I think it's going to continue this week. I'll be honest, but we'll get into that. But Blaney and Byron were my two that I really liked at Iowa, just because Blaney was super fast at Gateway. Byron was good at Phoenix. So those were my two main guys I was focusing in on. And Blaney went out and dominated it, even on two tires. Great strategy call there. And I mean, ultimately, Kyle Larson had the fastest car in the field, but we'll talk about why he was out. But back to Denny. Uh, he was also a guy that I thought, man, he's been so good on short tracks this year. And they just completely missed the setup. I'm not sure what the issue was, but he said over the radio it felt like his tires were on backwards. That means it's just basically undrivable. And I mean, you could tell he was so far off the pace. I think he went a lap down, 30 laps into the run there, and they were just off bad. They end up recovering, getting a sixth place in the second stage, I think it was, and then of course get into the wreck we're going to talk about. But very strange to see Denny off that bad, especially at a short track. The last 2 weeks have just been dreadful for the 11. As an 11 fan, you had the blown engine at Sonoma 2 laps in, and then you end up wrecking, not out, but you weren't competitive after you got into the mess here at Iowa. AJ Allmendinger for the second day in a row, tire failure. He had a tire failure in Xfinity as well and slammed the wall. He slammed the wall hard again, ended his day early. I think he went on to finish last. Ryan Blaney wins the first stage. At this point in the race, if you missed it, I had Ryan Blaney in fantasy, so I figured, up until he got the checkered flag, I was waiting on something bad to happen. He won the first stage, so I was like, okay, well, that's happened before this year, and Blaney ultimately closed it out for me. And then after Blaney wins stage one, we go back green. John Hunter Nemechek made what I thought was kind of the bonehead move of the race. Just sent it in way too hard. Ends up getting up into the 10 of Noah Gragson, who makes one of the actually might be the save of the year. Didn't touch anything, actually kept it from spinning all the way around. The NASCAR did throw the caution, but a great save if you all haven't saw that. I'm sure you can look up Noah Gragson Save at Iowa on YouTube. And it'll pop up because it was amazing. Um, the 42, he was really John Hunter was really good in Xfinity last year. Or it wasn't. Yeah, it was last year. But it's just like he's doing goofy stuff in Cup. I feel like he's doing the stuff. Not that Carson Hocevar doesn't do stuff, but he manages it better. I feel like the 42's in a lot of stuff that just shouldn't be caused. Like this was just another example of over driving the car. I feel like and ended up screwing Noah in the situation. So hated it for him because Gragson was fastest in practice. Talking about Noah, he was fastest in practice, and you thought he was going to have a fast car. So definitely sucked to see him spin. Uh, then from that caution, Kyle Larson radios in his team and from the lead says he needs to come pit because he thinks his tire is about to blow. They said it was cording a little bit on the right side, I think, is what I saw, but I don't know if it was quite cording yet. There was a little bump on the right side. I don't know if it would have went flat, but they gave up a crap ton of track position because of that. And I mean, if your driver who is as good as Kyle Larson says, I think I got an issue with my right tire or any tire in general, you normally listen to them. They ended up doing it, and we'll never know if it would have gave out if he would have ran. So he pits from the lead, gives up the lead, and then both Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain have tire issues. Seemed like it was back to back. We've seen this in the next gen car. We even saw it in Xfinity this week. I think Xfinity was due to the fact that it was so hot there. Their tire, due to all the heat, just gave way. Several cars had that issue. With the next gen, I don't know if it's in setup, if it's the tire, or what happened. I don't think it was because of heat. They raced Sunday night after the sun went down, so don't really think the heat was that big of a factor in Sunday's race. But obviously an issue. I lean towards setup because it wasn't like a Texas first year next gen situation where everybody was losing tires. It was just certain cars. So I lean setup as the reason why you saw those tire failures. Martin Truex Jr. speeding in pits after that caution. Rough day for him after announcing his retirement. That's our first piece of news. And since we're talking about Martin Truex Jr., I want to shout him out for an amazing career. And it's not done. He could go out and win the title this year. He still doesn't want to race this year, but he's in Joe Gibbs equipment. He's an awesome driver. It could happen. So shout out to Martin Truex Jr., who's retiring at the end of this year. My stepdad is a huge Martin Truex Jr. fan, so he'll have to move over to someone else. We'll see who that is, but I know I've got some other Martin Truex Jr. fans who listens. He's got a big fan base, so he's definitely a name that will be missed in the Cup Series for sure. But I do think it's the right time for him to retire. And he mentioned maybe running select Xfinity starts, maybe running Cup every once in a while, but he's retiring from full-time competition in that 19 car. So shout out to Martin Truex Jr. And then we have one of the weirdest cautions I've seen in a minute. I'm not complaining because it helped Denny out in the time being. Some cars ran long. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Denny are the two that really jump out to me. Ricky ended up running top 5 because of it. They were going long hoping for a caution. And Daniel Hemrick barely scraped the wall. I want to say, at least how it looked on TV, it looked like he barely scraped it, and they called a caution. And it helped several guys out and hurt several guys. Blaney ended up getting trapped, but he is up, of course, winning the race, but fell into some guys' laps, and others were very ticked. Christopher Bell's team was very ticked. I heard their radio. They were very, very upset that caution came out. It hurt them pretty bad. Kyle Larson wins the second stage. Even after his pit issues or his tire issues, he comes back and wins second stage. I definitely, no doubt in my mind, he had the fastest car of the night. So hated to see Larson uh, end his day early, and this is what happened. Suarez into Larson into Denny. You know, I was shocked there wasn't more like backlash from this move. Um, and not by Larson. I don't think Larson's in the wrong here. Obviously Denny's just a bystander trying to miss the wreck, but I mean, Suarez came right up into Larson there. Suarez was said it was an aggressive move on Larson's part. I mean, Larson's trying to get to the front. He knows he has the fastest car. So he's trying to get to the front. He made absolutely no contact with it, Suarez or the 11. And looked like Suarez just lost the nose and came up into him. Larson tries to gather it, basically gets cleaned out, and there's nowhere for Denny to go, and he hits Larson too. So Larson went on to finish like 35 laps down or something like that. And of course, Suarez, person who arguably causes the wreck, no problem for him. I think he actually finished top 10, top 15. I'll have to look, but good run for him. But while we're talking about Suarez, shout out to him for becoming an American citizen. I know that was a big deal for him and all his supporters. So shout out to him. Didn't really like what happened on the track this week, but there's things bigger than racing. So glad that he got his citizenship in order. That's always good news for Suarez and all the Suarez fans out there. That was the last eventful thing that happened. I thought Byron was going to catch Blaney on that last long green flag run because Byron was on 4 tires, Blaney was only on 2, but it never seemed to matter. Byron would cut into it a little bit, but it was Blaney's race to lose after Larson got, after Larson got taken out. It was basically Blaney's race to lose, and I definitely thought he would find a way to lose it after Gateway, but he didn't. His team took care of business, and hey, they will be a factor at New Hampshire this week too. I'm pretty sure those flat tracks. The New Hampshire's a mile, so watch out. Blaney could go back to back. I thought about picking him in fantasy this week. I didn't end up doing it, and I'll tell you all why here in a minute. But I wrote fantasy curse is over, all exclamation points. Let's get into our notable finishers from this past week. Obviously Blaney winning the race. Huge win for that team. First win of the season for him. Chase Elliott third. Not that notable because he is now the points leader. I want to get into that real quick. Chase Elliott leading the points over Larson by 8 points and over Denny by 38. Byron 54 back and Martin Truex 61 back. So the top 5 are separated within 61 points. Chase Elliott is now your points leader. Playoff standings, Larson still leads, but points wise, Chase Elliott is number 1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., like I said, top 5. The phantom caution didn't end up hurting Christopher Bell too bad because he went on to finish 4th. He was so fast, but I think he could have challenged Blaney as well. Josh Berry bringing it home 7th. Daniel Suarez goes on to finish 9th after the incident. Kozlowski 10th. Todd Gilliland and Justin Haley, Carson Hocevar 12th, 13th, 14th. All solid, very good days for those guys. Todd Gilliland has been running better. He finally gets the finish to show for it. Austin Dillon 19th. I know that's not where they want to run, but that's definitely better than what they have been. Some disappointing days for Tyler Reddick in 22nd. I expected him to be a lot better. Denny in 24th. Definitely expect him to be quicker. Ty Gibbs 25th. Kyle Larson 34th. Kyle Busch 35th. So all not so good days for those guys. Now I want to get into a little bit of news. The rumors, the first 2 rumors that I heard, and you all can comment on this. I'm just going to throw these out here. Potentially Briscoe to the 19. That was number 1 on my list that I wanted to talk about. It's now since came out that Briscoe has said he has multiple offers on the table. I lean Wood Brothers reaching out as well as JGR. Maybe Trackhouse. I don't know. If he wanted to stay in Ford, I could see him going Wood Brothers, but I ultimately think he lands at JGR. There was something come out that the announcement was expected by the end of this week. Does that come at New Hampshire? I guess we'll see. I lean no, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure that it's a done deal. We'll see. But I think that would be a win for both parties. It definitely would be for Briscoe because SHR, we've talked about this, hasn't been what it was these last couple years. Whether I mean it kind of trickles down from ownership to everyone else, but to have Briscoe in a tier 1 team, I would love to see what he could do. I definitely think he could get back in victory lane and try to compete for a championship. So I think that would work. If you go to Wood Brothers, I mean, Matty D made the playoffs in the 21 car. Since then, hasn't been anything. I mean, Harrison has struggled mightily in his time in it. So we'll see if that were to get better if Briscoe stepped in. I think it would. But that brings me to my next guy, and that's Justin Haley to Wood Brothers. That's another rumor I've saw. Justin Haley has outperformed anybody that's ever raced for Rick Ware Racing. He is consistently running that car in the top 10 week after week, top 15. And he's doing a heck of a job. He's really showing you how good of a driver he is. You all can I mean, he drove for Colleague. They have fallen. They really have. I mean, you can just tell in their performance. I don't know what it is on the cup side, but really off. And I think it goes to show Justin Haley is a wheel man, and I think his most likely destination is the Wood Brothers 21. I think that one's more of a lock than Briscoe. I could be wrong, just my opinion. But I think Justin Haley ends up in that 21 car. Kyle Busch comments, wrote that in here. Man, where do I even begin? He was quoted saying "Never say never" about a Joe Gibbs Racing reunion and Hendrick. Man, is that not a kick in the gut if you're an RCR employee? I mean, that was wild to say. I will give him credit where credit's due. He did say that, he's in it this year, I think, and next with RCR, and he's going to go try to win a championship. But folks, I mean, he's being honest at the same time. I mean, they're not championship caliber right now at RCR. They're not even race win caliber. And that's a huge concern. I thought they had speed this past weekend at Iowa. Before, of course, he had his tire issues, and I think he broke a toe link or something, but ended up finishing almost last. Huge point hit for them in the 18, but I thought that was pretty wild. I guess we'll see what he ends up doing, but hopefully RCR can get better because I enjoy Kyle Busch being good for sure. And then today, some news broke about not Stuart Haas, just Gene Haas in general. He's going to field 2 Xfinity cars next year, along with 1 Cup car. I don't know if it'll be a full-time Cup car or just select starts. But when they first announced the news, everyone thought that it was Stewart and Haas were both going to be completely out of Cup. That doesn't seem like it's the case now, as Haas will have 1 Cup entry and 2 Xfinity teams. So I like that. Keep them around, see what happens. The question is, who stays there? If it is a full-time ride, I lean Josh Berry, but I'm not 100% sure. I lean Josh Berry in that 4 team. Rodney Childers, those guys, that's who I lean. I could be completely wrong about it, but that's my guess. And if I go 3 for 3 on these silly season predictions, I'm doing pretty good. So that's it for the news and the Iowa breakdown. Now we get into New Hampshire. And man, do I love some New Hampshire racing. I really love it on iRacing, but I love it. I love watching it as well in real life. It's just the Xfinity and Cup cars here this week, but we've got significant entries into the Xfinity race this week, and I'm just going to go right out and say it. I'm not wasting any time. This weekend, I'm going out on a limb. Not really, because this guy dominates this place. But this is going to be a Christopher Bell sweep weekend. He's going to go out and win Xfinity, then he's going to go out and win the Cup race. And I back that confidence with my pick in fantasy this week. If you are a listener that's in my fantasy group, I had the first overall pick since Blaney won, and I went C. Bell. And I think he sweeps the weekend. I think he wins the Xfinity and Cup race. He's just that good, especially in an Xfinity car. He's won here in the next gen car. Didn't run so well last year, but he's due. He won the Coke 600, of course, but I think he gets his third win of the season at New Hampshire. So we'll see. I think JGR will definitely be the team to beat, but I also think the Fords will be strong again. I talked about Blaney. I would watch out for Logano. I know I'm still on the Logano ain't making the playoffs train, just like I was at the beginning of the year, but he's only 6 points out now. A good run will do him a lot of good for sure. And then watch out for the Stewart Haas cars being Fords. Can they run good at New Hampshire? So, didn't waste any time getting into the pick because, hey, I'm taking one guy to sweep the weekend. The JGR Xfinity program super strong. Seabell's amazing at New Hampshire, so give me him to sweep the weekend. You all let me know what you think. As far as Iowa, on the scale of 1 to 10, I lean like 7. I thought it was a very good short track race. It wasn't as good as Bristol, but I thought it had some variety. You could pass pretty easily, it seemed like. But I thought it was a very solid race. And we'll see what New Hampshire brings. New Hampshire's known for crappy weather around this time of the year. Seems like New Hampshire's one of those races that's always delayed or on Monday. I haven't looked at the forecast yet, but hopefully that does not happen this week and we get this thing in Sunday. And then I can record sooner next week than I have this week. But I'm ready for New Hampshire. I'm ready for it to go back racing again for sure. So I'm glad that you all care enough to reach out to me and ask, what happened with the podcast? As much as I hated missing a week, it gave me a chance to reset, to get in my new place, to, just do everything. So I think it was, it isn't like I missed a barn burner recap. Like I missed Sonoma. You all watched it. If you are diehard NASCAR fans, you all already watched it anyway. I know you all still like to hear me recap it, but you all already knew what happened. And Kyle Larson won that one, and then Blaney wins at Iowa. And I think Christopher Bell is going to sleep the weekend at New Hampshire. So let me know what you all thought about the Iowa race. 1 out of 10. Like I always do, I'll post that on Spotify. And shout out to my friend Daniel Dye, who ran top 10 for the first time in his career in Xfinity at Iowa this weekend. That was so awesome to see. Cheered him on to the very end. I just wanted to shout him out before I leave. He had a very good run in that College 10 car. The College Xfinity program has done pretty solid. They're just kind of falling off on the Cup side, it seems like. But of course, with SVG winning back-to-back road courses, that can make it look really good. But Daniel able to run top 10, and it wasn't just a fluke top 10. He ran good all day long, stayed on the lead lap, did what he needed to do. So shout out to Daniel and the College guys. And as I move and make racket, you all let me know. Send me predictions for New Hampshire. Send me predictions for silly season. The silly season thing's about to ramp up with people going to different cars, different teams. And I'm excited to see. I think this has the potential to be one of the crazier silly seasons we've seen in a while. And as always, thank you all for listening. We're still available on everything. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. And thank you all, as always, for listening. This has been JD Talks NASCAR. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all for reaching out, checking on me. I'm good. We're all good. We're ready to rock in New Hampshire on Sunday. Thank you all so much.